It's very important. So basically, important thing is exchange stabilization. Now, any country needs exchange stabilized exchange rate. You should protect the foreigners. You should protect the importers. Everybody should be protected, but you can't protect. Actually, our next topic is foreign exchange, but I'm just giving you since the yesterday's day before yesterday's circular. So you can't protect both the people at once. You can't. You can't protect importers while protecting exporters at the same time. If you want to protect importers, you can't ignore the exporters. Vice versa. So then the country should have a stabilized exchange. So everybody is protected. Very difficult. Very difficult a country like us to maintain both the people satisfied. Very difficult. So if you want to maintain stabilized exchange rate, stability of the exchange rate depends on the country like Sri Lanka putting more restrictions. Putting more restrictions on it. Otherwise, very difficult. Now, see, we have many restrictions on imports, but still exchange is depreciated. We have short of supply. Like that. So, exchange rate depreciation has direct impact in our government security or whatever the interest bearing instrument. It is. Now, see, when the interest rate has lower, when the interest rate comes down, on we say government security or whatever, we say government security. Now, when the interest rate comes down, who will come and invest in these interest-bearing securities? Nobody will come to Sri Lanka and invest-bearing securities because lower regime of interest rate. Will the foreigners come? They won't. They won't come. They will not come to Sri Lanka to invest in government security because of the lower regime of interest rate. Plus, rupee depreciation is another factor for them not to come to Sri Lanka. Now, the government has introduced a new hedging mechanism for foreign investment last September. They have introduced a new hedging mechanism for foreigners come to Sri Lanka. They will be not exposed to foreign exchange risk. Now, what is that now say? Understand it. Now, you bring it $1 today at 195 level. So, you have 195. So, with the interest and everything, you have 200 end of the period. So, since you have 200, you want to take it back to take it back to your country, whatever the amount you have earned here. You go to the bank and ask, what is the exchange rate? The bank says, we will give you exchange rate has gone up 200. Now, when the foreigner comes to Sri Lanka 95, now it's 200. How much they have to bring it back to their country? Same US dollar. He brought one, he wants to take it back one. So these people won't come to Sri Lanka. So the hedging mechanism is in place now for the foreigners. There is no, whatever the things you will be converted at 195. That is the new scheme for foreigners. People who are investing in government securities, there is a hedging mechanism, right, in place. So the exposure is covered. Exposure is covered. But due to the present lower regime of interest rate, there is no point of coming. As you very correctly said, why the foreigners come into Sri Lanka to invest in government security, rupee denominated government security, rather than they have good investment at ISB. There is no foreign exchange risk there. Same issue. Government security issued by the government. Ultimate responsibility is with the government. ISB also the ultimate responsibility with the government, issue is the government. Why should I come to Sri Lanka to convert my dollars into rupees and take it back the same amount? Even I'm hedged at the exposure. I have an ample opportunity to invest in ISB, which is trading at 25%. 25%. Now 30-year bond is trading at 22%. Whereas I can invest my money. It's same default risk. Here the same default risk. Government of Sri Lanka. Same default risk issued by the government. Same default risk. Then why should I come to Sri Lanka? And there is ample opportunity available offside. Rather than come. Very difficult to convince foreigner to come to Sri Lanka and invest in government securities, right? Even investment in share market, very difficult. So there are ample opportunities available outside Sri Lanka. So the government security, the why they have reduced to 5% is to avoid the additional pressure on the exchange. Exchange has depreciated drastically in 2018 because of this only. Right? Right. So then we have moved to the calculation of treasury bill. Remember, we have done this part, treasury bill calculation. That is straightforward. And also we have moved to accrued interest part and dirty price and plain price. Only thing you have to keep in mind, capital instrument like treasury bond, you can trade at premium, discount or par. Right? If it is a new issue, it can be at par. Remember, but treasury bill, you can't have it. This is out. Only at discount. Keep in mind, right? That can be tested. Treasury bill always at a discount. But treasury bond, of course, you can have it premium, discount, or par. Par provided if it is a new issue, right? Right. These are things we have discussed last week. Just to recap what we have done so far. Anything you want to further clarify? Then we move on to the shares, and that is also important for you to understand the pricing of financial assets, other financial assets available in Sri Lanka. Now, share market, that is equity. So basically, shares are traded Colombo Stock Exchange, that is CSE. There is a apex body above it, SEC. So this is the trading flow manager. These are the people who manage the trading flow in Colombo Stock Exchange. We have many companies, 280 plus companies we have, and different sectors. And share market, basically we call this secondary market. So if it is IPO, that is primary market. So the IPO is my initial public offering. So basically you invite public to so generally, now see, so what is the importance of being listed in the share market? Why do you want to list in the share market for a company? Very much transparent. So that anything happen in particular company, the listed company, you will have disclose everything happen, anything relevant to you have to disclose. That is very important. So that is transparent is there. The corporate governance is there when you being listed, and also from the investor side, you can find more people, can find more capital by listing. And very much now people like to you have the readily available market price. So basically, how does the share market price decided by? Based on what? Demand and supply, nothing else. Same thing, same scenario. Now in Sri Lanka, how does the foreign exchange is determined? Demand and supply. Free floating, but we have managed free floating. Central bank is intervening on the necessary, based on the necessity, right? So the share market is also similar, demand and supply. And in the share market, we actually trade in the ordinary shares. Remember, ordinary shares are the shares. We call it the people who are holding ordinary shares. We call it true shareholders. True shareholders. They are the people who are actually true shareholders. Why? Other than ordinary shares, we have preference shares. There are many number of shares, many types of shares, right? Convertible shares, we have then participating ordinary shares, many types under these. But preference shares more like borrowers. It's not treated as its kind of shares, but not like ordinary share. When you're holding an ordinary share, you become a true owner of this particular company. When you purchase, when you buy shares from the market, share market, that is you are purchasing ordinary shares. Ordinary shares, generally in the share market, there are two types, that is voting, non-voting and voting. There are two types. The only thing, the difference is features are the same. Only thing, at the AGM you can vote it. These people can vote it, these people cannot vote. That's the only difference. But you are still a shareholder, true shareholder. Right? True shareholder. So there are many methods of being listed. IPO is one. So we call IPO prospectus issue. And we have another method of introduction. Many companies do this. They don't want to raise money. Now when you do an IPO, you ask people to invest. So you get money. Company gets money. But some companies like to be listed, but they don't need money. They need the prestige. So when you become a listed company, you have more benefits. So more transparent, but a third party thinks this particular company is more transparent, more corporate governance aspects are there. So this is important. So the introduction is another method. Introduction. So you just want to list in the CSE, not to raise money, just allow to trade. That's all. That's allowed to trade. Just all. There are four methods of being listed: offer for sale, introduction, prospectus sales, like that. Right? Now, another thing is there are two boards available in the share market. That is main board and Diri Savi board. Main board and Diri Savi board. So there are listing requirement for you to adhere when you want to be listed. There are listing requirement for you to be adhere when you being listed in main board. And Diri Savi board also you have separate listing requirements for you to be adhere. And once you get listed, continuously you have to adhere some regulation. Continuous listing requirement. For example, now you have to hold an annual general meeting. Annual general meeting every year. So then you have to audit and publish the audited accounts. That is compulsory. So when you don't comply this continuous listing requirement, you will be transferred into default board, another board. Default board. That is temporarily suspended. So you have been in left default board since you have not complied with the continuous listing requirement. Now, apart from these two, we have Empower board. Empower board. Then we have multi-currency board. And recently they have introduced REIT. REIT. Real Estate Investment Trust. That is for the investment properties. So Empower board is for the beginners. Now, if there is a company but they don't have expertise to be listed in the share market, so then somebody is guided them to be listed. who is there? Somebody we call a sponsor. That is sponsor behind them to be listed to find out the capital. MCB board, multi-currency board, that is for the foreigners. The minimum amount is $10 million. The foreign companies can be listed in CSE, but none of the foreign companies have listed. This has actually introduced some time ago. Not viable option. No one has listed so far, to my knowledge. And multi-currency board, and REIT is a new introduction. Real estate investment trust, similar to unit trust, but the unit trust is different from this one. This is investment properties, building like properties, right? So that is they have introduced it, but due to this corona factor, it has delayed. Now, share market, when you want, how do you invest in share market? So you have to open a CDS account. You have to open a CDS account. So that is your identity card number. So you have to meet one of the brokers, share brokers. Brokers are there. So you can, there is an app, the CSE website. You can download the app. You can select any broker, and everything is online now. You don't have to fill forms and everything. Everything is online. Within 2 days' time, they will call you and they will register your identity card number as an account number. So you can open a CDS account with any broker, share broker. So you can do the share brokering, share dealing, right? So then, before you invest, so before you purchase, I'll say there are two companies we call John Keells, and you have ACL. So out of these two companies, which one you go for investment? So how do you decide? The investor ratios are there, right? Generally we go by, technically we call it a price earning ratio. Price earning ratio. Market price divided by EPS, right? You must have learned this by now. Price earning ratio, investor ratios, that is screening ratio. How long will it take for me to recover my investment? You go for the lower one. You go for the lower one. So how this is similar when you're doing the project appraisal. Payback period, very similar to the screening ratio. We call it screening ratio, like payback period. How long will it take for me to recover my investment? You go for the lower one. You have two shares, go for the lower one. Market price divided by EPS. I will not take much time since you have done this, right? With Ms. Kurichidana. And also many ratios you have: dividend yield and dividend per share, price earning ratio, and P ratio, forward P ratio, and everything, right? So all these things you have to look into take into account when you make the investment decisions. Now there are two types of investment share market in the world: bull and bear. Bull market means prices are going up. Bear market means prices coming down. That is also important for you to understand which market you will go. Generally, our people enter into the market when the prices are going up. But we should actually enter into the market when the prices are lower. Then only you can make profit. So very risky. Right? You can't guarantee the income. So what are the types of income when you're investing in shares you get? There are two types of investment income. One thing is dividend income, the other one is capital gains.
Capital gains.
Yeah. So when you invest in government securities, what are the income sources you get? Same.
Interest
income is you are getting, right? Coupon interest income. What else? So when you sell it before it's get mature, now say you have you are invested in the venture for 5 years or the treasury bond for 5 years, but you want to sell it after 3 months time or after 3 years time or a 1 year time at a profit, depending on the price yield relationship. Remember, you have purchased this particular garment at 10%, now the market is at 8% before it's get mature. Is it worthwhile for you to sell? Yes. 10% of the 8% of the I am saying. When you take out the pricing, you have purchased at 10% up to 80, 8% of the it's more than 80, 90. What are you selling? Of course. You want to sell, you can sell it at a profit. So this is also capital gain, another one. Capital gain. So capital gain also is possible if you sell it before it's get matured. If you're holding for the entire period until it's get matured, you don't get any capital gain. But before it's get matured, when the market yield has come down compared to the purchase yield, you can sell it at 8%, you can sell at a profit. Again, you are getting government securities capital gain. Shares also you get the capital gain plus the dividend. And here you get the coupon rate, interest rate, and the capital gain as well. And we call there are some technical words in relation to the dividend. What do you mean by scrip dividend? What do you mean by scrip dividend? So generally when you invest in shares, when they announce the dividend, you should receive in cash form. Now recently we have seen some companies have announced the dividend in scrip form. In scrip form. So meaning is what? Without paying in cash, they will give you shares. Without paying in cash, they will give you shares. Same company. A company, JK just solid. For the investors, they get shares, whatever the percentage, right? So that is scrip dividend. What do you mean by bonus share? And the right issue is what? Now all these terms are recently used. Now people are talking about share market and what are the indices we have? ASI and S&P 20. So it's ASI means all share price index and S&P means Standard Poor's 20. So these are the two indices available in Sri Lanka share market, right? And what do you mean by right issue? Right issue
when the company wants more capital, but they don't want to dilute the ownership, they issue shares among the existing shareholders.
Yeah, very good. So basically, right to issue is for the existing shareholders at a discounted level, discounted price. Now the market price is going at up to 150 market price, but the company offers existing shareholders, as very correctly you said, existing shareholders are lower than the market discounted price. You say 120. So for the existing shareholders at a lower price. So why they have decided to issue for the internal or the existing shareholders, as you said, not to dilute the ownership. Not to dilute the ownership. That's true. So then they don't want to dilute their ownership, or they should not bring new shareholders to the company. That is one reason why they are issuing. Now see this example. Now the total number of shares issued with this particular company, 100. Right? You are holding 20% of this particular company. 20%. How how much then you are holding? 20. 20 number of shares you are holding. You are holding, right? Percentage. And the company has decided to issue rights at the rate of 1:2. This is how right issues are formulating. 1:2. 1 means what? 1 new, 2 existing. 1 new, 2 existing. So after right issue, what will the total amount this company has? 1 new for existing 2.
150.
Yes. So the additional 50 comes. So the altogether I have 150. So how much my entitlement? I am having 20. So then I should have 10.
30.
Huh?
30.
Entitlement is 10, right? New shares. So then I should have 30 altogether. So the gain I am maintaining, I have invested 30 number of shares after right issue, lower price. So the total number of 120, I am maintaining the same, I am maintaining the same percentage, right? I am maintaining the same percentage since I have invested same amount, right? Now see, correct, right? Yeah. Now see, I will not invest 10. I don't have money. I don't have money. You have to pay money at a discounted price, but still you have to pay. You have to pay. My company went up, man. Right issue, Mama, I should not subscribe. I'm not subscribing. But the company is issuing anyway. So after the right issue, now check the position now. Total 150. Me harder than issue gandhi. And it's shareholders on a gandhi. Me get gandhi. So the end of the period, after the right issue, total number of shares issued by the company becomes 150. What is my percent? My portion 20. So that I am holding 20 out of 150. What has happened to my shareholding percentage? Has it diluted or not? Obviously, it has diluted. So just because you issue rights, it doesn't mean that your shareholding percentage will maintain unless you subscribe. There are 4 options available for the rights. One thing is you can subscribe. Second one is you can partly subscribe. Third one is you can sell. And the fourth one is you can do nothing. Lot of people are doing this, do nothing. But it doesn't mean that company is also doing nothing. No. That's why they have ended up with 150. You have done nothing. You didn't do anything. You just ignored it. But the company has sold your portion to somebody else. Company has sold your position, your entitlement of 10 number of shares to somebody else. Existing shareholders, they have sold it. People are there. People might be there to take additional shares. So that the company has sold it, whatever. Right? Your shareholder percentage is diluted. Less than 20%. So basically, unless you fully subscribe to the entitlement, you will dilute your shareholding percentage. But you can sell it if you want. Your entitlement can be sold in the share market itself. You can sold it. You can sell it. Can be sold. A lot of people are doing nothing, they just ignore it. But don't do that. If you are getting an entitlement of shares or a issue, you can tell it. What do you mean by bonus issue? The bonus issue means there is no cash movement. Only thing now, see, if this is the balance sheet of your company, you have share capital, you have reserves here, right? This is balance sheet, balancing. So what happens is when the bonus issue, you transfer share from reserves to shares. That's all. There is no cash movement happening. There is no price movement. What happened actually at the end of the day, after the bonus issue, what happens? Only the number of shares will increase. Only the number of shares will increase by issuing bonus shares, right? So why the people are actually issuing bonus shares? To have more liquidity in the market. To have more liquidity in the market, and also to enhance the liquidity. There is another method of subdivision of shares. Now recently you must have seen some companies subdivision. Now say you have 10 rupee each, 1,000 shares. So altogether 10,000. Subdivision, Taminara shares and all, right? So what happens is, keeping the 10,000 as it is, total, and this is becoming to 1 rupee now. 10 comes to 1. Obviously, this won't change. Then this has to be changed. How much then? 10,000 shares. So what happens? Total number of shares increases. So that is, you have more liquidity in the market. You have more liquidity in the market. So more number of shares in the market. Right? More number of shares in the market. So that is subdivision. Share split. You split it into the small pieces. So that is also important for you to understand the market. Right? So understand the listed requirements are there, and also the continuing listed requirements are there for the companies. Right? You are most transparent. So the companies are more transparent when you issue shares in the share market. When you list in the share market, right? And there are methods available for you to be listed: IPO, that is prospect issue, and offer for sale, and introduction, and all those things, right? And also understand, remember the indices available, and also understand or keep in mind the boards available in the share market. We have main board, series high board, default board, MCB board, Empower board, and newly introduced one REIT. That is also important for the investment properties. And relevant ratios. Before you make the investment decision, you have to go through this. Understand the company affairs, understand the company financials, then think about the right time of selling of shares, because this is very risky investment. You can't guarantee the return. You can't guarantee the return. So mostly the people are actually taking capital gains. They are investing in capital gain purposes only. Now, share market is a country's economic indicator. Now see, interest rate, exchange rate, inflation, GDP, government securities, and share market. All those things are interconnected. It's like a chain. When the interest rate comes down, this goes up. When the interest rate comes down, what is the purpose of investing in government securities? What is the purpose of investing in FDs? Then you look for better avenue. So this is one of the avenues, but high risk. But high risk, high return. It's big, right? So when the interest rate comes down, this market is actually booming. So that's the fundamental thing when the interest rate comes down. your money will be directed to Shama. Now in Sri Lanka, we have a retail business-oriented share market. So we can't see much foreign investment coming to share market. We have a participation. Foreign participation also there now. But generally, if you take an overall picture, it is more depending on the Sri Lankan retail investors. Sri Lankan retail investors are the people who are taking this share market forward. So this is a very good indicator. Now recently our share market was the best performing share market. This was long time ago also the similar thing, right? Early also we had the best performing. So our one was better than Vietnam. So our one was the best, and we have reached 9,000 SI. Now it's actually drastic setback. You must have noticed that it has now presently trading at $7,500 level. Once it reached to very recently, once it reached to 9,000, and when the CSE or SEC has issued a new guideline on credit, so again the following day it's a crash. So it's very sensitive. The markets are very sensitive. Suddenly it can change without no reason. This can change with no reason. Even when the SEC issue a credit, now this market is mainly going at credit basis. You purchase shares without having any cash. So then if they want to disclose the credit of the customers, then the collapsing. Now it has not reached to 8,000 even after the collapse. Once it reached to 9,000, right? So very difficult. It's very sensitive on the information. Very sensitive, right? And ordinary shares are trading, voting, non-voting, and rights also trading, right? Rights, so you can trade the share market. So are we not giving on listing requirements? And I think Mr. Purichiran has given to you listing requirements and all those things. But when you do the pricing of these shares, we need to know what these shares are. And basically, we have many methods of pricing of these things, shares. Net asset basis. You divide whatever the net asset divided by number of shares. That is the screenshot. That is the basic, at least the basic valuation of the shares. Now, what is the value of the John Keells? Presently, if somebody comes and ask you, without go for an audit valuation, without go for auditing, without asking auditors to value this particular company, you can straight away tell. John Keel share, each share is valued this much, 150 for example. So the number of shares issued, 150 into number of shares issued, this is the valuation. This is the present valuation. But it can be, people are demanding. This is the people's demand. People are demanding this much. Right? This is the real valuation, but you have to do a lot of valuation. You have to add whatever the undisclosed goodwill, trademarks, and everything. You have to add it. You have to financially evaluate the different methods. But pure valuation comes through the share market. That is demand and supply. Based on the demand and supply, these prices are determined. Also, the similar for the foreigners. Foreigners can invest in share market. No restriction. They can purchase shares. They can sell it shares. But any foreigner who wants to invest in share market, they'll have to come through IIA account. They'll have to take it back whatever the money from that account only. They'll have to come through this IIA account only. They can invest and they can take back whatever the money they have invested in shares by realizing. And we can see previously, recent past, lot of funds withdrawing their funds from the share market. survival is difficult for the share market, any country share market without having foreign investment, right? Foreign investment, but you will have to manage it pretty well. When they started to go by disposing, again additional pressure come to the foreign exchange. So the exchange is under pressure when they started to go. So that's why I told you it's an interconnected thing. Something goes wrong somewhere, finishes. Or it's make it, I don't know how this chain is broken somewhere, there is no chain. Draining, started to drain. So then everything has to be perfectly all right. Something goes wrong, something will badly affected, badly impacted. Everything has to be, it's very difficult to control a country. See, so this is the difficult you face, control a country's economy. Very difficult. So you have to manage it in such a way to protect everything. Right? Our market capitalization is very much low, so we'll have to actually, the government target is to bring capital market capitalization 70% of the GDP. 70% of the GDP market capitalization. So then you can have a broader level of investment come to share market and invited to be listed in share market to raise much more capital to share market, to IPOs and all. And also the government, your debentures, listed debentures are also traded in the same flow. Same flow, but different category. DEX, we call DEX. That is, DEX is the place where your debentures are trading. Listed debentures are trading. That is also debt instruments in Sri Lanka. The secondary market was very nil, very dull. So there is no actually secondary market for debt instrument, not like other countries. Right? We have very unsophisticated, underdeveloped market for the debt instrument. So if you want to sell at a listed debenture, you want to sell, you have to speak to one of the people who are interested to buy. Now, when you want to sell shares, now say you have JK shares. If you want to sell, do you want to speak to each people? Do I have JK shares? Would you like to purchase? Would you like to purchase? No, you don't want to do that. Share market is much more sophisticated trading platform, but debt instruments are not like that. Debt instrument tradings are very low in Sri Lanka. It's basically kind of private placement. Basically kind of pricing underdeveloped, right? Right. Any question you have before we move into pricing? So these are the financial assets we'll be learning for pricing purposes. So the pricing, of course, I have done the treasury bill pricing. So today we'll be taking especially the bond price is more important for you to understand. Any question you have? Now see, Now take this example. Now see. This is regarding treasury bond, right? Or this is relevant to debenture as well. Now see the coupon. Now you know what coupon is now, right? It's a familiar to you now. We say 10%. Fine. Interest, payment, coupon. Sorry. Semi-annual. Semi-annual. So then you have maturity date. Now remember maturity date. If the exam, if you are not given, you can find out where. By looking at the ISIN, you can find out what is maturity date. Remember the advertisement we have last week done. We say 25 2025 January 20. Similar type of right. Or otherwise, we can move on to the other use trade. Right. This one. We say without putting the maturity, we say it's for the time being 2 years. 2023. 2 years. Right? 2 years. And you're asking, and also you should be given this one. It's important for you to learn. What is this? This is a required rate of return. Required rate of return. So if I am the investor, I need this much. I need 20%. If I want to invest particular instrument which satisfies these three options, I need 20%. At least I need 20%. 20% mata venega dammana ma 20% galla thibba, but I need make invest karanda I need at least 20%. If I'm given a question like this, then asking is how much should I pay to acquire this particular instrument? That's the question. So how do you decide? So we'll be learning later how do you decide this 20%, right? Not for the individual, but for the companies. And there are two methods available for you to. It's available on your tubes: dividend growth model, dividend model, and the CAPM. Learning later. For the time being, for the individual, you decide this. I can invest. Mata එකක හොයන්න පුළුවන් 8ක් විතර ගන්න පුළුවන් එකක මට මේකෙන් ගන්න මට 10ක්වත් ඕනේ. like that. It's your choice. මට මේ instrument එකේ invest කරනවා මේ debenture එකේ දාන්න මට at least 12% වත් ඕනේ. Like that. It depends. Right? So if I have given a question like this, so how much you should pay to acquire this particular instrument, either bond or debenture? So how do you prepare? How do you do this? So remember, So you should, if it is now, this is what kind of calculation? Treasury bond or debenture? None of the calculation. How do you identify whether this is a debenture or a treasury bond calculation? Coupon. Coupon we have not learned anywhere other than government securities and debentures. Coupon එක coupon කිව්වොත් අනිවාර්යෙන් government security එකක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. Otherwise නැත්තම් debenture එකක් වෙන්න ඕනේ. If it is so, how do you decide the pricing? අපි දන්නවා if it is a treasury bill, straightforward. Straightforward calculation. Treasury bill. Commercial paper also the similar. Straightforward discount calculation. But treasury bonds are not like that. There is a coupon payment involving. There is a remaining maturity period, 2 years. There is a required rate of return as well. Generally, the other exams, the banking exams, the students are asked to find out this and apply. So, how do you find out? Either by using dividend model or CAPM. You must be knowing, you must have heard these two methods, right? So, how do you find out the pricing of this particular one? So it is basically understanding this, right? It is basically based on the cash flow method. So how many periods? Now you know if it is a cash flow, you know the periods are there. How many periods? 2 periods. Right, remaining maturity, other 2 years, two years are there to be matured. Another 2 more years are there to be matured. අවුරුදු දෙකක් තියෙනවා මට මේ සල්ලි හම්බ වෙන්නේ 10% ගානේ මාස 6කට මාස 6කට හම්බ වෙනවා අවුරුදු දෙකක් තව. So then how much do I how do I price it? Based on the cash flow method, remember that. How do we decide the number of period? Is basically decided by the frequency of coupon payment. Frequency of the coupon payment. Coupon is paid semi-annual. How many periods? 2 years. අවුරුදු දෙකට semi annual එකක් කීයක් තියෙනවද? අවුරුද්දකට නම් 2යි. අවුරුදු දෙකට නම් 4යි. So then how many periods? 4යි. 1, let's see this, right? 2, 3, 4. Interest payment monthly. How many periods?
24.
24. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 24. Can you imagine the lengthiness of the calculation? So here we take semi-annual, right? It is quarterly. So the 4 quarters. So like similarly like that. The only thing you keep in mind, you are given a question to calculate the bond pricing or a debenture pricing, number of periods. How do you decide? Based on the coupon interest frequency. coupon interest payment frequency. Now here semi-annual, for the easiness only we take it. How many semi-annuals for 2 years? 4. Then you take 4 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are the cash inflows you are getting each period? 6-month period, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. What are the you are getting? How much you get? 10% गानी coupon එක හම්බෙනවා. 10% එක ගාන coupon එක හම්බෙන්නේ face value එකට. Face value we always in Sri Lanka like nominal value it's 100. Face value you have 100. Whatever the price you purchase, you can purchase this particular bond at 90, but the face value is 100. You can purchase this particular bond 110, but the face value is 100. Face value is you are getting on the maturity 100. 100 110ට ගත්තත් මට maturity එකේදී 100 ඩම් වෙන්නේ. 110ක් කියලා මට 100ක් හම් වෙනවා. Am I losing? Somebody can think like that. But actually it's not losing based on the yield is adjusted. 98ට අරන් 100ක් හම් වෙනවා. Okay 2 rupee gain. 120ට අරගෙන හම් වෙනවා 100ක්. You are losing නේ. Somebody can think like that, but it is not so, but it's adjusted to the yield. But what are the cash flows you are getting? 100 gane 10% හම් වෙනවා. රුපියල් 10 ගන්න හම් වෙනවා for me. That is for 1 year. This is for අවුරුද්දකට. For each period we take 6. So how much you are getting? For each period 5. Can see right. Are the periods. How do you decide the number of periods? Depending on the coupon interest payment, frequency of the coupon interest payment. 5 each you are getting coupon. End of the period you are getting face value as well. Don't get 100. Don't forget about it. 100. So I'm erasing this, right? So these are the cash flows available. What are the cash flows? You have 5, 5, 5, 5. Then end of the period you have 100. So these are the cash flows available to you. How many? What are the cash flows? Here you have 5. Here you have 5. Here you have 5. Here you have 105. This 105 may 105 මට හම්බෙන්නේ after 2 years. මේ පහ හම්බෙන්නේ මාස 6කට සැරයක් පස්සේ. මේ පහ හම්බෙන්නේ අවුරුදු දෙකමාරකට පස්සේ. So then what do? You can't add all these together and see this is the price. No, it's wrong. You're not the same basis. එක basis එක නෙමෙයි you are in. එක base එක නෙමෙයි you are in. You can't add. මේක හම්බෙන්නේ මාස 6කට පස්සේ. මේක හම්බෙන්නේ අවුරුද්දකට. මේක හම්බෙන්නේ අවුරුදු දෙකමාරකට පස්සේ. Is it the same value you are getting 105 after 2 years today? No. That is not the same value. That is not the same value you are getting 105 today compared to 2 years. 2 years. So what do? You bring all these cash flows. Now when you are doing the project appraisal, you have minus cash flows as well. When you are doing the chart and all accounting, you have minus cash flows as well. But in this case, only the cash inflows. You should not have anything minus. And you are invest karam, you are getting it. No, hamben. Coupon එක හම්බ වෙනවා මට. Plus End of the period, not the amount you invested, but the face value. Not the amount you invested, but the face value you are getting on the maturity. If you sell it before it's get matured, we discussed, remember, you don't get this. You get only what? Coupon. You have sold it here. You have sold it here, example. Once you sell it, you get coupon plus the capital gain if you are selling at a profit. You don't get this. Understood? Like that. So what do? You bring all these inflows into today. Today means when? 0. Now, you bring it today terms. මේ පහේ වටිනාකම අද කීයද? අවුරුදු දෙකකින් හම්බෙන 105 වටිනාකම අද කීයද? 105මද? නෑ, it should be definitely lower than that. So how do you do this? You have been given the return rate of required rate of return of 12%. This example 12%. So how do you do? You discount it. Find the present value of each item. See the word present value. You are finding the present value. How do you find out the present value? By using 12%. 12% is a discounting factor. Required rate of return is the discounting factor of your intended investment. How do you find out the discounting factor here? So using a calculator, you can easily find out 1.12. How does this 1.12 comes? This is the formula. 1 divided by 1 plus R to the power. So the easiest method for you to understand, but generally in the exams, this page is attached to your last page. But in this banking exam, they have not attached. You have to calculate on your own. How do you find out? 1 divided by 1.2. That is how you calculate. So 1 divided by 1.2 is how much? One divided by 1.12. It's 9. It's 892. 892 So this is the first period. Negative. How do you find out the second period? Easiest method is you keep this on your calculator, the display, and divide this for the finding out the second period. So this one, 893 divided by 1.12. That's the easiest method. Point 893 divided by 1.1. 797. Third method, third period. 797 divided by 1.12. Divided by 1.1. 1 divided by 1.12 divided by 1.12. 797 divided by 1.12. 711. and keep that one. Seven, 1, 2 divided by 1.12. Six, 3, 5. These are the things available for you. So the first period you have how much? 8, 9, 3. Second one you have 7, 9, 7. Third one you have 7, 1, 2. And this one you have 6, 3, 5. So what do you do then? And you multiply this. Now, how much you get? Five into 0.893. Five into 0.893. 4.46. Like that. Now, this is how you do this. But only thing you have to keep in mind, important factor is, when you are doing this particular calculation, this is how you calculate. But in this particular calculation, we have taken this instrument, which basis? Semi-annual basis. So the 6-month period. 6-month period. Coupon payment is done by the semi-annually, 6 months. All these cash flows, 555, semi-annual. The other one is you will have to keep in mind. When you are doing the discounting factor, which is 12%, this is per annum. That one also you have to take it accordingly this period. Accordingly this period. Accordingly this period means what? 12% per annum we have taken semi-annual. Now say 12% is monthly. 12% is monthly. How many periods then? You have 24 periods. So the discounting factor also should be based on the interest frequency or not? Should be based on the frequency of the cash flows. So the 12% discounting factor for this particular calculation, you have to take it what percentage? The half percentage, the 6% or the 50%. So for this calculation, you have to take it 12%, 6%. Only thing you have to keep in mind that. So the period is based on the interest rate frequency plus another one. Only thing you have to keep it 3 things when you're doing the bond calculation or debenture calculation. Period should be decided by based on the coupon interest rate frequency. Second one, 100 has to be there, which is face value. Third one, required rate of return or the discounting factor has to be in line with the interest rate frequency or the period frequency. So meaning 12% should be, for this particular calculation you have to take it 6%. 6%. So 6%, this is instead of, this is how you calculate the present value. It is 12%, 1 divided by 1.02. So if it is 6%, how do you calculate? This is the calculation. This is what we have learned. 1 plus R. 6%. 1 plus 6%. 6.06. Got it? Here also the same. If it is 1 year, if it is quarterly, how much then? 12%. How much quarterly? 3%. Similar one. So already you have to keep in mind this, right? So understand this. Now 5 rupees. මාස 6කට පස්සේ හම්බෙන රුපියල් 5 වටිනාකම අද කීයද? 4.4. What does it mean? 5කට පස්සේ හම්බෙන වටිනාකම රුපියල් 4යි. Example. 5කට පස්සේ හම්බෙන එකේ වටිනාකම රුපියල් 4යි. Due to this 12% inflation, due to this 12% discounting factor. So how much this? 3.5 something. අවුරුද්දකට පස්සේ හම්බෙන රුපියල් 5 අද වටිනාකම කීයද? 3.5. Similar thing. Basically, after the 3 months time, after the 2 years, you are getting 101, 105. But actually, how much it worth? This much into this. So what I want to tell you is, you can't add these together and take the value. No, it's wrong. It's wrong. You have to bring present value. You have to find out the present value to the pricing of this particular one. So 3 things you have to keep in mind. Period has to be decided by the frequency of the coupon interest rate, plus face value has to come. Again, discounting factor has to be in line with number of periods. Right. So there is a question in your table. Shall we try this question? This question. Consider 4-year debenture. Shall we try quickly? Now, shall we, consider 4-year debenture with a par value of 100 that pays 16% coupon annually. An investor who is considering the purchase of the debenture requires a rate of return 20%. How much is the value of this debenture? It's easy calculation. 4-year debenture with a par value of 100. Coupon is 16. So how many periods then we'll have? What is the frequency of payment? The first logic, period depends on the number of coupon and the frequency of coupon. Annual. 4 year remaining. remember that the original maturity period is something different from the remaining. You always take the remaining maturity period as the remaining maturity period for the calculation, right? Now here the 4 year remaining maturity period 4 year. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the percentages you are getting? Second rule, number of period 4. First one is gone. Coupon interest 16% annual. 16 गाने हम गए ना हम आउट दें 16. So the end of the period you are getting 100 as well as face value. So the last year you have 116. The other period you have 16. Other period you have 16. So what is the period? Discount factor they have given you 20%. 1 divided by 2. That is annual. The third factor 1 divided by 2. 1 divided by 1.2. So 20% required rate of return is 20%. 1 divided by 1.2. Similar one there. 1 divided by 1.2. Similar one we did it. 0.983. Do we want to discount it? Do we want to divide anything? No, this is annual. Frequency of interest payment is based on the annual. So then annual, you take it annual. 1 divided by 1.12. 893 divided by 1.12. 797. 1 divided by 12. 711. Then 1 divided by 12. 635. So then you multiply 16 into 0.893, that is 14. I'll take only the first decimal for the time being. 797. 16 into 797. 16 into 0.797. 12.7 something. 711 into 16, that is 11.635 into 116, that is 73. So then now you are at the same platform now. So what do you do? You add 14 plus 12 plus 11 plus 73, 110. Now see. Now the answer is this. Now see. Now see. 110. Periods we have taken as it is. Why the annual? You got the face value end of the period and your discounting factor is 20%. Why we have taken 20%? There is no need to divide. It's annual. The earlier previous sum, similar one. Now, now it's only after 1 year's time 14. After 4 years time 116 due to this discounting factor. How much? The value of this particular one 110. But how much you are getting? 100. This particular bond you are purchasing at a premium, discount or par. It's a premium. It's a premium. The seller is benefited. The buyer has to purchase this particular bond at 110. But still see, you're purchasing this particular bond at 110, but still you are maintaining 20% return, that's what you need. You are satisfying. Even you pay more than 100. See, even you pay more than 100, you're earning 20% capital return. That's fine. That's what you need. මේ සල්ලි මම ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරපු හේතුවෙන් මට හම්බ වෙනවා කියලා එක බොන්ඩ් එක වටිනාකම 110යි. එකක. Once you find out one, you can find out number of 20%. I'm getting a return. That's what I need. Even you purchase this particular bond at a premium, that's fine. Shall we move on to the second question? Shall we do this quickly? How much should an investor pay to buy 100 open 18 2-year bond pays interest rate semi-annual? So the semi-annual 2 years, same thing. Shall we make it this one? 22% divided by quarterly got to 4. Within. Right. Come up there. We will continue. 2 years, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2-year bond semi-annual. So how many periods then? How many periods? Semi-annual 2 years. It should be 8 periods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 years. Semi-annual. Sorry, 4 periods. Out of the diagram. So 4 periods, right? So the period out of the decade, out of the decade, the 4-year period. So the coupon is how much? You are getting 18%. So the semi-annual you are getting how much? 9. 4 9s. So the end of the period you are getting 100 as well. So then last year you have 109, then other periods you have 9. So the period, how much the required rate of return? 22%. So the 22%, what is the discount factor? 22%. Since this is semi-annual, you have to take it 11%. Right? You have to take it 11%. Three system. 3 factors satisfied. Number of periods, semi-annual. That's correct. End of the period, you have face value. Have you put 100? Yes, I put 100. 22% is annual. So then this is semi-annual. Then 11. Discounting factor has to be done semi-annual. One divided by 1.11. Same thing, right? 1 divided by 1.11. How does 1.11? 1 plus 1 divided by 1.11. Keeping on the display divided by 1.11. Divided by 1.11. 731. Divided by 1.11. 658. So then you multiply 9 into 0.9. 8.1. I'll take 8. 0.811 into 9. 7. I'll take on the first time you have taken decimal in the exam. 731 into 9. That is 6.5 pounds, right? 658 into 109. 71.7. 71. We say 72. What? Now 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 72. 93. Answer is 93. So this bond is particularly trading at discount. This is how you calculate. This bond is trading at a discount. This is how you calculate. Very easy, right? This is how you calculate the bond pricing. Understood? Shall we continue without a break, or we can finish it off a little early? Do you need a break, or shall we continue?
Yes, sir. Continue.
Shall we continue, right? Thank you. So then we are moving to the final part. So this is now basically when you are doing a calculation with regard to the bonds or debenture, you are not doing it manually like this, right? This is you want to since you want to learn only. We have done this on the board. Now there is a bond calculator, separately dedicated bond calculator. Only thing you have to key in all these criteria in the bond calculator. This is the formula. It's available. You can use this formula as you want. You can do the calculation as well. This is just for your learning purpose only. We have put, and I have calculated one question as well for you. This one the same thing. Only thing we have learned zero coupon bond instrument. We have learned which is treasury bill. Treasury bill we have completed. We have done everything. Finishes within 1 year. Now, if you are given the exam, if you are given a question like this, it is more zero coupon, but still more than 1 year. This is how you calculate it, right? To the power, whatever the to the power, present value of the 10-year zero coupon. Zero coupon, we have learned only treasury bill, but that finishes everything within 1 year. If it is more than 1 year, you have given 100 or whatever here the face value. This I have taken from a foreign exam, USA exam. Basically, if it is so more than 1 year, to the power, whatever the number of years you will have to take. That's all, right? That's the only difference. Right? This one we have completed last week. Sorry. This one we have completed last week with the advertisement provided by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Remember, clean price, dirty price, accrued interest part. So the dirty price minus clean price is accrued interest. Accrued interest is what? From the last coupon date to the settlement date, the amount which the purchaser does not entitle to have. The coupon portion does not entitle purchaser to have. Purchaser to credit. Right? So you'll have to give it back to the seller. How do you give it back? Through the pricing. Right? We have discussed this. And I just want to discuss with you. We have this one also discussed. Only the default risk is not there, credit risk is not there, but other risks are anyway there with regard to the government securities, right? For you to learn this one. And this is how you calculate the required rate of return for a company. So then we can finish it off. Yeah, that is the final part. This one, right? And you will be also learning the systematic and unsystematic risk as well, which is important for you to understand. So far, any question you have? Understood, right? So understand these things, and if you want any question, ask. Right? Then before we, when you're doing the bond calculation, we just discussed required rate of return. Remember? So what are the three factors we'll have to keep in mind? Only thing you have to take the number of periods based on the coupon rate, coupon interest rate frequency. Second one, face value has to be included the last period, and the discounting factor has to be in line with the number of periods. If it is annual, then take the annual one. If it is semi-annual, then take the 50% of the discounting factor, required rate of return. And if it is quarterly, take it quarter one. If it is monthly, take the monthly discounting factor. Right. So the discounting factor, that is individual. How do you decide individual? Comparable. I need this much. I can earn by investing in by opening a FD this much. So then I need this much. So very layman, very common. There is no justification. But if you come to a company, now this your company, your institution is going to purchase this particular bond, one particular bond. So what is your required rate of return? How much do you need minimum? That is what. How much do you need minimum return? So for me to understand as a company the minimum return, I should have an idea of what is my cost of capital. You must have heard this. Cost of capital. Cost of capital is basically calculated for a company that is required rate of return. At least I need this one. Cost of capital. Capital comprises own capital, that is one, or otherwise debt capital. Those are the two. So the own capital, what is the compensation you pay? Equity. We call it equity. You pay dividend. Yeah, good. And for the debt, you pay interest. So the dividend model is there to calculate the cost of equity, cost of debt. That is also method is available, just in the tax part as well. So there are two methods available for you to calculate cost of equity. That is dividend and the CAPM. So the cost of capital, there are two parts, that is equity and debt. These are the two parts. Here you have available CAPM, TAPM and dividend model. Here there is another method. Same method will be available with the only the different from this to this the tax. So I given a question to calculate the cost of debt, tax adjustment has to be there. Otherwise, it's not. Why do you take tax? Now, when you pay dividend, when you pay a dividend, now this is your income statement, P&L. You have revenue, you have gross profit, we say. You have then admin cost, you have net profit. Then you pay dividend, anything available. Right? Dividend. Here your dividend. After paying everything, after deducting everything, you decided to pay dividend. This is equity holders. Right? Dividend is paid after adjusting the tax. After tax. After tax only you pay dividend. Profit after tax, only you pay dividend. After tax, only you pay dividend. But debt, when you pay debt, compensation is interest. Interest is a finance cost. It comes here. Before adjusting the tax, you pay interest. When you have more interest payment, you pay lesser tax or more tax? You pay lesser tax. When you borrow money for the company, when you borrow money for the institution, when you borrow money for your own company, you have a tax benefit. You pay lesser tax. Tax pays after deduction of finance cost, which is a debt cost. When you have more finance cost, when you have more debt interest payment, you want to pay less tax. So then tax benefit has to be adjusted to the debt of cost of debt. That's why we take tax adjustment. Here you don't need. Why? After tax only you pay dividend. So there is the tax already adjusted. Tax already adjusted. So then here, remember, tax adjustment has to be there. Here there is no tax adjustment, right? Right. So then how do you find out? CAPM. Only thing you just remember in the exam, remember for your knowledge. It's a risk-free rate plus beta and market return minus risk-free. This is the formula for CAPM. Risk-free rate. Generally, we take risk-free rate as we have learned treasury bill or treasury bond rate. Beta is what? Beta is the measurement of systematic risk. What do you mean by that? We have never learned this. Systematic. There are two types of. This is one of the variety, right? You must be learning. You must have learned business risk and finance risk. Now, business risk එක කොහොමද measure කරන්නේ? Business risk එක කොහොමද දකින්නේ? මේ company business risk එකකට යනවා කියලා? Just by looking at the P&L, just by looking at the income statement, you can decide sales අඩු වෙනවා නම්, cost එක වැඩි වෙනවා නම්, gross profit එක නැති වෙනවා නම්, එනවා ඔයාලට කියනවා මේක business risk එකකට මේ company යනවා. How do you decide this company is in financial risk? Just by looking at the balance sheet. If you have excessive debt, more than the capital, you have a debt, you will be in trouble. You are in financial risk. Similar type. You have two types of risk in connection to this syllabus topic, this conversation. We have systematic risk and unsystematic risk. Systematic risk cannot be avoided. Common to everybody. Interest rate risk. Common to you, common to me, common to him, common to everybody. You can't avoid. Inflation, common to everybody. You can't avoid. Cannot be avoided. Unsystematic risk. Take a company who is producing ice cream. rainy season, specific to that particular company only, product only. Does it affect to me? No. වැස්ස කියලා මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. වැස්ස කියලා මට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. But people who are working in a what do you call this ice cream company, it's affect to them. It's affect to them. Affect to them, right? So that is unique to them. Systematic risk can be avoided or not. Can. Ice cream Hadunathan, there is no systematic risk to this particular company. So that's easy. Give me 1 second, please. Right. So unsystematic risk can be avoided. Now, in technical terms, we call unsystematic risk can be avoided through diversification. So if you don't produce ice cream, or you provide something else. Now take John Keel's. It's a diversified group. Hotel sector, food sector, what else? Different sectors. Hotel, tourism, hotel, then the property. So everything. If something goes wrong, so they are comfortable with the other one. So that don't put all eggs into one basket. So diversification can be, now systematic risk can be avoided by diversification. Here beta is measured by the systematic risk which is unavoidable. So then you give a pricing for me at least. Unsystematic risk එකට මට පොඩි pricing එකක් දෙන්න, which cannot be avoided. So that's why beta comes here. Beta is given anyway in the exam. You are given a question. Market risk is anyway given. That is the entire market risk free, same thing. If you are not given in the question, if you are not given a market risk and a risk free separately, examiner can gives you risk premium instead of these two. Risk premium. So risk premium is market return minus risk free rate. That is market risk. Now this is CAPM. This is CAPM. How do you calculate? This is a very popular method for you to calculate cost of equity. Cost of equity. And dividend model, there are two methods for you to understand dividend model. Now see, D divided by, and D and the G also coming to this. Now G means what? Dividend, the growth. So when you have a growth, you take different view. Otherwise, you take straight away, you take the dividend method. This one, D divided by P. And the G comes, that is G, means growth. If you are given a growth, this is the formula for you to calculate, right? There is another method we call dew point, that is අවුරුද්දක් තියෙනවා අවුරුද්දකට 110 ගාන ගෙවලා ඊට පස්සේ අවුරුදු 5 108 ගාන ගෙවනවා. But we will be not taking that question here, right? That is we call the dew point method. But we generally go by growth and the low growth method, right? For your at your level. So examiner can test you cost of equity, finding out two methods. One is CAPM, the other one is dividend growth model. And also remember, if you are given a question to calculate the cost of debt, tax adjustment has to come. That is the only part you will have to take. Otherwise, everything is similar to the low growth dividend model. Here, 1 minus T means tax. Tax adjustment has to be there. Tax has to be deducted in the cost of debt. So then you can find out the cost of debt. So once you find out cost of debt, and cost of equity, you weight it and take it. That is weighted average cost of capital. Now, for example, now say now you have calculated, example, cost of debt and cost of capital. Now say you have calculated cost of equity and as 10%, either CAPM or dividend model, you have calculated 10%, and cost of debt you have calculated, we say after tax adjustment 15%. And the examiner can ask you what is the cost of capital. Oh, can ask you back weighted average cost of capital. That's a question you can test. So in the exam or in the whatever when you learn, you can be asked to calculate the cost of capital, cost of equity, or the cost of debt. Then he can ask you what is the cost of capital or weighted average cost of capital. What do you mean by weighted? You weight it. Say you have a company. This is your balance sheet. You have put your own capital, share capital 100, and you have debt capital also. You have 50. So altogether you have 150. So then how much? So then given this is the question. Cost of equity you have found out, and 10%, 15 capital. This is the capital structure. 100 share capital, total is 100. You have put your own capital equity. Debt capital is 50. The 100 out of 150 is the equity. So how do you weight it? 150 value, 100 equity. 150 value, 50 equity. I'm sorry, debt. This is how you calculate. Put it here, or you put it here, add it up. That's your weighted average cost of capital. This is how you calculate. The examiner asks you cost of capital by giving a structure. You can't add these two, right? It's wrong. It's wrong. Take the capital structure here, and you do the calculation. That's finished. Right, understood? That's it. And these are the risks. Just for you read. Just for you understand for the reading purpose, right? Operational risk, business risk, same thing. Leverage means the debt to equity, right? Leverage means debt capital. Excessive debt is not recommended, but we recommend company to go for debt as well, right? Why? Why people are encouraging go for debt? They have a tax benefit. Excessive debt is not recommended, that is detrimental. But companies are recommended to go debt as well. Why? There is a tax benefit for them to go for debt. When you pay taxes, you deduct finance cost as an expense before you make the tax payment. So there is a tax benefit for you to go for borrowing. So that as well. So any question you have? So then we have actually covered pricing of financial assets. We have learned, I think some sections have also done by Mr. Purichidaran, but I wanted to touch this before we move into the pricing. Not in depth I touched. He has covered, he has a part of this share market and all those things. I didn't want to do it in depth, but I try to convince you all to come to my pricing part. Otherwise, no point of discussing with you all straight away the pricing. You can understand straight away the pricing. So I wanted to do some background in that, so I did it last week. So this is more than enough for your exam. This is enough for you. Whatever the syllabus contains, pricing of financial assets. This is a nutshell enough. But this is a vast area, right? But for you, for this postgraduate, this is enough. And any question you bring it, we will discuss. And the next week we will be discussing the foreign exchange. And I'll a small touch with to come to the derivative instrument. Straight away, I'm not going to do this derivative instrument. I'll touch with some foreign exchange. And then foreign exchange is basically the when you are exposed to foreign exchange, the how do you mitigate the foreign exchange is our part. It's a derivative instrument. So without having knowledge on foreign exchange, no point of talking about derivative instrument. So what to avoid, what to mitigate? Only the foreign exchange risk. If you don't know the foreign exchange part, what's the purpose of learning the instrument? So first we will touch instrument part. What is the foreign exchange part? I have already given the new notes on that foreign exchange part. Then we will slowly move on to the derivative part. Then I have only another one topic to complete. So any question you have at the moment before we wind up? I have not given the break. So you can enjoy your lunch then, right? People who are online. Do you have any question? Right, then we will wind up the class today. Thank you. We will next week we will meet up to discuss the foreign exchange, right? Derivative instrument. Thank you very much, student. Thank you.